When I had my first child, I got this breast infection so I had to stop breastfeeding him. And pretty close after I had a second child, I wanted to be able to breastfeed my child. Then I found out that when I ate gluten, I got infections, and if I didn't eat gluten, I didn't get infections.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I was like, okay, I can't eat gluten at all. And then I was like, what am I going to do? I have a tea room. I live surrounded by gluten, and I love to bake, and what can I bake with? And so I just had to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
It took 2 years till I kind of cracked the code where I made a bun. I was like, oh, this is fluffy. And all of a sudden I was like, why is there no gluten-free bakeries? So I thought, okay, I have to do something about this. So I thought, okay, I want to write a book with gluten-free recipes. So I have published the book. And then I thought, well, I might as well start a bakery. When I opened the bakery, I had that rye bread that was really good. And I had one bun that I thought was good. And I had a few cakes. And now we have a lot of products.
What about other intolerances? Hello and welcome again to the interviews. As you will see, we are still in Copenhagen, and I'm with Mette-Marie from HUG Bageri. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm so excited because this is, I would say, one of the safest gluten-free places in the city. Also one of the few gluten-free places of the city, 100% gluten-free. And she's been touring me around the bakery. It's so nice, the food they have, the different breads, the different pastries. I will show you during the interview. And I stopped talking and I let Mette-Marie introduce herself, and please explain us which are your experience with gluten intolerance, and also why did you decide to start this kind of business?
Yeah. Well, actually, I had a tea room with my brother once, a tea company. We had a tea room with a little bakery, and we baked all the cakes and pastries ourselves. I have always loved baking since I was a small child. Our mom bakes a lot, so she took me in the kitchen, and I always baked, and I always wanted to try new recipes and stuff. So we had this tea room, and then at some point I find out that I keep getting inflammation in my body. When I had my first child, I got this breast infection so I had to stop breastfeeding him, and it was really annoying. And then pretty close after I had a second child, and then I really didn't want, I wanted things to be I wanted to be able to breastfeed my child.
Yeah.
And then I found out that when I ate gluten, I got infections, and if I didn't eat gluten, I didn't get infections. So that's how I found out on my own body. So I didn't go to the doctor. I actually was my ex-husband's mom had a clairvoyant friend that kind of said, it's the gluten she can't tolerate. So that's why I kind of she led me on to quitting it for a while, and it really worked. And then I kept off gluten, and then when I ate gluten, I kind of got itching in my body, and I could feel that it wasn't good, or I got really tired, because in the beginning I was like, I can have a little bit of rye bread, and I did sometimes, but
which is quite common in Denmark.
Quite common in Denmark. Oops, so I always it didn't go well.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I was like, okay, I can't eat gluten at all. And then I was like, what am I going to do? I have a tea room. I bake with gluten.
You live surrounded by gluten.
I live surrounded by gluten, and I love to bake. And what can I bake with? And so I just had to start from scratch, searching, getting all the books I could on gluten-free, and finding recipes on the internet. And there are really bad recipes out there.
Yeah.
So the first many things I baked was so dense. And so for about 2 years, it took 2 years till I kind of cracked the code where I made a bun. I was like, oh, this is fluffy.
That's good.
So it took a long while. And all of a sudden I was like, why is there no gluten-free bakeries? Why is there nothing organic? Because you can go to the supermarket and you can get some gluten-free stuff, but it's really boring, full of starches, and hardly organic.
And it's not that easy. I mean, I've been in 2 supermarkets here, in Netto and in 365 discount.
Yeah, they hardly have anything.
And in Netto, they didn't even know. I showed them one of the most famous gluten-free brands in Europe, and they didn't know it.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I have nothing to buy here.
Yeah.
And
but there's bigger supermarkets you can go to. Rosen or FUT Talks. So there's some bigger ones that have bigger.
Later I will ask because I'll have to buy at one point something.
You have to buy something. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so it's been a long way on the way in Denmark to get something nice gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, I have to do something about this. And then my brother bought my part of the tea room actually.
Yeah.
And I moved up northern in Zealand. To a little town with my husband and kids.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I want to write a book with gluten-free recipes. And then I found this little station building that was for rent. And it was just like a very small, tiny house. And there had been a little cafe, so there was one normal oven there. And I was like, okay, I'll rent this for a while and I'll just test recipes and write that book.
Did you write it?
Yeah.
This you have to tell me.
So I've published the book. But together with the funny thing is then I thought, well, I might as well start a bakery. And then I started a little, very small bakery with one oven. Yeah. And the first day I was open, I had like 20 customers or something. I was like, and they were just like, oh, what do you have? And I got totally sold out the first day. So actually it was very fun.
I have so many questions in my mind now. I don't know where to go. Yeah. So let's leave the book for later.
Yeah.
I have done other interviews in other cities in Europe, and some of similar shops like you have or bakeries.
Yeah.
And some of them has told me that the gluten-free label sometimes keeps people out. Do you feel this, or like it's special food or not as good? Despite maybe it's better than other foods.
But that's because the quality of the gluten-free has been so bad.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who's like, oh, gluten-free, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, we just had HUG Bageri, and that's we had another name before, and then we moved to Copenhagen, and the book is called Helt uden gluten, meaning
that's HUG.
HUG.
Yeah.
So it's totally without gluten.
Uh-huh.
But we didn't write. We had gluten-free on the windows, but we didn't put it on the facade, kind of.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted people to come in and see what we had.
Yeah, it's like in addition it's gluten-free, but I mean the smells. I felt inside your bakery how the breads look and the croissants and so on. I mean, if you put this next to a gluten-full croissant, it has nothing to envy.
Some people might not notice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or they'll just think, oh, this is a home-baked because everything is a little bit more heavy and a little bit more,
Okay.
So,
And so you let's say left your tea shop to
I left the tea shop.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to. I was thinking that somebody must open a gluten-free bakery, and then it got to be me.
Okay, yeah, you are somebody that's very good for this job because you were eating gluten-free.
Yeah.
Your kids also eat gluten-free, or they don't eat it?
I had a son that was eating gluten-free for about 3 years.
Okay.
He had some stomach problems.
Okay.
So I kept him gluten-free for 3 years.
Okay.
But then I got divorced, and his dad kind of didn't bake gluten-free for him. But then I think he was grown over it, kind of. So he's
okay.
But when they're with me, they eat gluten-free because that's what I make at home.
Yeah, of course. And you still eat gluten-free.
Yeah, I always 100% gluten-free. So
and if you eat gluten by accident, do you still feel this itches or?
No, because I now have a bakery. I don't. It very rarely happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. And tell me about the bakery. What did you start first? Breads, pastries, all.
Well, in the beginning, I wanted a rye bread because that's an important thing in Denmark. We use it for. We eat that a lot. So I had when I opened the bakery, I had that rye bread that was really good, and I had one bun that I thought was good, and I had a few cakes.
Yeah.
And I had made this cinnamon roll with an almond.
I've seen it.
Sorry, date filling. day filling inside. So I kind of had those 3 products, and then slowly I upscaled and made new recipes, and now we have a lot of products.
Okay.
And we also have hired a pastry chef, and he's really good at
Is
making.
Tom?
Yeah, it's Tom.
Okay.
And he has worked in a gluten-free industrial bakery before. So he has
knows
an
how the
interest
dough
in
works.
dairy-free and vegan and gluten-free, and so he knows the different flour types and stuff.
Yeah.
So
because you came from baking with flours with gluten, and you moved to gluten-free, which is a totally different world.
Yeah.
How you managed to find what you said? I liked it a lot. To crack the code. I mean,
it's just trial and error.
Yeah.
Like trying something, it's like, this is not really good. What can I do for the taste? And I just, researched a lot.
Yeah.
And found out, okay, you have to mix different flours, and I think that the breaking point was kind of not getting the dough very moist. Because when you bake with gluten, you don't want it to stick on your hands, and I added too much flour in the beginning, and then I found out, okay, less flour. It has to be wet, and it has to be different. And then I kind of found the feel around it.
The right balance. Feel.
Yeah, my feel to it, right? How do I want the dough to? So it's a very intuitive thing about baking, that you kind of touch it, feel it, and the hard thing about having a real big bakery is that you have to have it work all the time, right? And you have to learn some other people to do it, and you can't just tell them to use their intuition, right? So you have to do it. So
they don't have it.
Temperature and it has to be.
So you started with your intuition, and then you say you defined a process that everyone can do.
Exactly. And also in the book that I wrote together with Catherine. The funny thing is, I had this place for a year and a half myself, but there was this regular customer coming in all the time. And she had celiac, and her 2 daughters had too.
Okay.
And she came in, and we talked about sourdough and stuff. And one day I was like, hey, do you want to have this place with me? And she was like, yes.
So she joined you.
Yeah, so she started working with me. She's a teacher, a high school teacher.
Okay.
So but she's been working with me for 7 years.
Wow.
Until last year. So we wrote the book together because I developed the recipes, and she did a lot of the writing and stuff. But we really wanted people to be able to bake something good at home, right? So writing down how should they do it. And,
So transmitting your intuitions into a real
into words,
process.
Actually, right? Like how can we write it nicely so people understand it, and we succeeded on it, because when people come in and tell me they bake from my book, they're like, "Hey, it does work."
Oh, yeah. That's good, and that's
then
satisfying.
Yes, very satisfying.
Sorry.
Then you know that you did a good job.
Yeah, and so the book is in Danish, I think.
The book is in Danish.
Okay.
Yeah. And we actually have a lot of tourists buying it and Google translating it.
Yeah, with the pictures. Okay.
Yeah. But there should be, I think the next book I'm going to make, I will have to have it in English as well.
Please tell me when you do, so I can also share it in my space. That would be lovely.
But we have like the HUG Bageri Instagram, and then I have made one called HUG Mette-Marie, where I actually share a little bit more recipes in English.
Ah, that's perfect.
So because the bakery one is mostly pictures from the bakery and stuff. But so I do share some recipes already in English. So.
Okay. So you were outside of Copenhagen?
Yeah, I was outside in Copenhagen, and Catherine, my former partner, and me looked into Copenhagen. I was like, we should open in Copenhagen. We were actually why don't we have a nice gluten-free bakery in Copenhagen? We must make one. And we had some help from her ex-husband who has been working in the bank industry. So he helped us loan some money, and then we found this place, which has been a bakery for more than 100 years.
Wow!
And we succeeded in getting the keys, and it's like, whoa.
So the equipment was already here?
Everything was here, but of course we had to scrub everything down and paint everything, so the equipment was already here.
Okay.
And now it's 4 years ago that we opened.
4 years here now.
Yeah. So we opened just before Corona. Yeah.
Right timing.
We opened in January 2020, and and it was So
tough times too.
It was really tough times. The first year was really tough.
And you closed the other one?
Yes, we closed the other one because we couldn't. Now we regret it a little bit because it was such a nice little location and we have a lot of customers built up in the area and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But we had to put focus in one place.
Yeah, and I mean, being so close to center of Copenhagen, you receive a lot of tourists for sure, because I'm amazed of how many international people are living here. But also, do you have like delivery service, or do you?
We have there's some guys driving around Copenhagen called Volt.
Okay.
So people can order in a radius of 4 kilometers around us. They can order and have it delivered. And we do send some bread and stuff around in Denmark, so people can order. And we send some breads to Jutland or Funen or Bornholm or. Yeah.
So they can order through the website.
They can order through the website.
Very good, because I would say for the research I've been doing to find people like you, I mean, with this kind of bakeries and so on.
Yeah.
In Denmark, it's not so easy to find gluten-free places.
No, we've been really, really slow. Actually the whole world, but in Denmark really slow. And I kind of think it's because usually it's men doing business, and the men have been a little bit. Do we really want to put money in the gluten-free? It's such a small percentage.
Yeah, niche.
Nobody have wanted to invest in it. They've been very reluctant doing things. And most of the gluten-free bakeries around the world that has opened is by little entrepreneurs or people who really needed a gluten-free bakery and they open it themselves.
And are they mainly women
doing it? There's been a lot of women doing it. I think there's a higher percentage of women. Like I can see that 90% of our customers are women actually.
Okay.
So I kind of think, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I think maybe more women have gluten intolerances than men.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're coming more and more men, so yeah. But I kind of think so. It's been a little of a grassroots movement, the gluten-free. You know, nobody has really wanted to take it in. So it's like a big hole in the market. It's like there's too little gluten-free for so many people who needs it. Because there's the celiacs, so those with intolerance, and there are those people who just actually can feel that it's nicer to eat gluten-free.
Yeah, and those who follow some trends or
some
diet.
Trends or a diet or something, or some people just wanting to keep the gluten intake a little low. Because we get too much gluten now, right? Everybody has pizza and burger and pasta and so we get and bread, and we get too much gluten.
And everything industrial.
Everything industrial, and the gluten in the corn has also changed. We have made the corn, I think it's within the last 40 years, there's been an increase of like 40% of the gluten in the wheat, for example, right? So it's like we have destroyed the corns.
So the cereal has now more gluten than maybe 50 years ago.
It has much more gluten, and we have developed more gluten because we get this light and puffy, but we're not made for eating that.
Yeah, so and this connects with what you said before about the quality and the organic and the starches and so on. So tell me a bit more about how you make your recipes to make them healthier within the...
So I kind of have this, because we also have cakes and we use sugar, and because it's also like food also has to be lovely, and sometimes it's a birthday or you want to treat yourself or something. But I think that the daily bread, you should really think about what kind of daily bread do I eat, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it has been very important that it's been organic. So we're 100% organic certified.
So you have the certification?
Yes, we have the certification.
Yeah.
Because there's also, nobody can really tolerate pesticides. That can also, there's been some articles that sometimes it's not gluten intolerance, it's the pesticides actually that people are reacting to, because the cereal are very sprayed when you get conventional. So there's
we still eat pesticide after all the process.
Yeah. Wow. There's still there's things in it, right? It's poison that we put on. So I think there's so it's very important for me that we were 100% gluten free always. And that has sometimes meant that there are some flour types we can't use because I simply cannot get them organic.
So this makes it even more challenging for you to have the right...
It has made it very challenging also in the beginning where we were a little small to get the right flours and stuff.
Because of volumes, maybe?
Because of volumes, like they had to take what was accessible, right? What could I get in smaller volumes? But now we're growing, so we can get bigger volumes and look for different vendors that can. But we cannot buy our stuff just from one place. You know, we have a lot of of different people where we get our goods from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that you are kind of outgrowing this place.
Yeah.
So are you thinking of in maybe near future to open a new one?
Yeah.
Or to...
So what we are beginning to, like last year, my partner Catherine sold her half to my brother and my boyfriend. So they came in now to help it grow. And we have been like a starter company for way too long because me and also Catherine are like very creative persons and we just do that and we've made it work for very far. But if you want to grow, there are some things you do need to have in order, right?
Yeah.
There do need to be a certain structure that you can build on.
Yeah.
So right now, the last year we've been building structure. Putting everything into the computer, getting the recipes in, and calculating them, and making how much should we actually bake and stuff, right?
Because and how much can you grow also?
How much can we grow? And we have decided to. We have bought some new ovens.
Okay.
Also because the old oven we have in here is like really, really old. It's so old now we cannot get spare parts if something happens.
Very old.
And it runs on diesel.
Really? Okay.
So that's not so nice here in these times. Not such a green energy to have.
Yeah, of course.
But we don't have enough power inside the house, so we actually have the ovens right now stored in storage, and we have to wait on getting more power into. They had to dig up the road out here for.
Get you the
to give us enough
capacity.
Power for the capacity for the oven. And when we get that, we can have we can bake a little more. And,
so still staying here, but
so
increasing production.
We're gonna increase the production here, and also looking to get the right staff and stuff like that. So we were increasing the production here, and then we're also looking now for new places because there could be. We often have a line. And
I saw it when I arrived. It was like, wow, where will we be shooting?
So we could definitely be more places in Copenhagen, and we would really like to do that.
Yeah. And me as a celiac, I would love to that you continue growing and that you are able to do that because I haven't tried anything yet, but it looked delicious. And knowing how you are working with your dose, your product, and for sure the training of your staff, etc. I'm sure it's it's a great thing to eat. Yeah.
But it's like we really we have had now I told you earlier I have a lot of staff who've been on the Roskilde Festival and some on vacations. I've been working very much the last 10 days and also a lot in the shop. And usually when I'm here I bake. So it's been really nice to be in the shop and meet all the customers again. And all the tourists, they just come in like, I never tasted any bread, anything like that. We don't have that in the US. We don't have that in Finland. We don't have that. So it's like, oh, okay, I have to make a franchise maybe.
Maybe. We can talk about it.
So there's really a need for it, but it's coming now. There's I can see it on the internet that things are happening, and that's good.
Yeah, that's true, and especially social network are pushing these things, and a lot of people blogging and sharing maybe recipes or asking for places like yours.
But there's also a lot of people who also can't tolerate dairy. And a lot of people can't tolerate wheat, and there's some gluten-free places that bake with gluten-free wheat starch. But if you can't tolerate wheat, you can't eat wheat
that's
starch.
true.
Right, so there's
So as I said, you seem to be one of the safest places in Denmark for gluten-free and all the allergies around gluten, wheat, etc.
Yeah.
And everything looks so good and organic and so on. But what about other intolerances? Because I'm celiac, but I have also lactose intolerant. So how does it work inside your bakery? Because I've seen some vegan stuff.
Yeah,
but
we have some vegan stuff that's totally without any animal products, of course.
Yeah.
Because there's also people who can't tolerate eggs. And there's, of course, people being vegan for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
So we always have some vegan products. And then we have a lot of dairy-free products. So products without dairy at all.
Okay.
And then we have, when we use dairy, we use lactose-free dairy products.
Okay.
So we have lactose-free milk and lactose-free butter.
For every product.
So everything in the bakery is lactose-free.
Okay, now I'm having this feeling of the tourist like, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's even.
And if you buy a coffee, the milk is lactose-free as well.
Okay, yeah. Any milk, even if it's mini milk or
any milk. We only buy lactose-free products.
Okay. Before entering into the book, in your out of the sortage that you offer, which is the one you like most? It's a difficult question. Right?
It has changed during the years. I have to say that right now, I love the croissant and the pau chocolat.
Yeah.
Because that has been a long way underway. And the first croissants I made were terrible. And then I kind of made a sourdough croissant that was okay.
Yeah.
And then Pierre from Boulangerie Alternative in Belgium came by to visit. He came to Copenhagen just to visit our bakery.
Oh, really?
And he was like, "Oh, you make a croissant. I haven't done that yet." And I gave him the recipe for the croissant. And my partner, Catherine, was like, "You're so stupid. Why did you give him the recipe?" He's like, come on. Because I have a thing. He's in Belgium. And also, I want people to be able to bake nicely, right? And people, they might bake at home, but they'll still come and buy your products because you don't always want to bake yourself.
And it's not that easy.
And it's not that easy to bake.
Yeah.
So what happened was that he changed the recipe completely. And like 6 months later, he gave it back to me. And he had made a really, really good croissant.
Like improved, let's say.
Very much improved.
Okay, so now you are cooking
so
with
now
his
we're actually
recipe?
Cooking with his recipe, but he used the glutinous rice flour, like sticky rice flour, and I can not get that organic. So I have changed the recipe a little bit.
So improved it again.
Improved it again, and it's an ongoing process of always improving or finding out, they're so nice today, what did we do, right? So was it the temperature, was it what happened?
And are you preparing, for example, we talked about the rye bread that it's typical in Copenhagen. I think it's this loaf that people buy, right?
Yeah, it's a loaf with grains and a dark loaf, right?
Is there something else typical that we
Danish?
could only, Danish, that it's only findable gluten-free in your place?
There is, we make this Tegirkes, it's called, which is like a sweet bundo that's laminated. And then it's put together with an almond cardamom remonce, and then you dip it in poppy seeds. So it's like a Danish pastry thing. And that we have here is very, very popular.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have a bonsvier. So the island of Funen, in the middle of Denmark, they have this kind of a sweet bundo, but covered in this brown sugar caramel.
My mouth is watery, and I have not even seen it yet.
And we have that too, so it sounds like a Danish specialty.
Okay.
So those two things and the rye breads are kind of very special for our place.
And are these recipes in your book?
Some of them are in the book. The bonsvier is in the book, and we also call it RO roe bread. So like because O means what do you call it in English? Calmness, actually. The calm bread.
Okay.
So O means, and then because the rye we call it boil in Danish. So
okay.
Yeah.
And what else do you do for celiac people, or do you also prepare catering things for, I don't know, for a celebration or
Yeah, we can do like birthday cakes. We have an assortment of birthday cakes and buns and stuff. So a lot of people calling in and ordering things for their parties. And we have a few restaurants as well, and a hotel that
they serve bread.
That they serve on the breakfast, like Villa Copenhagen. They have our croissants and our bread rolls and stuff, and they have it always on the breakfast menu. So they have this dedicated gluten-free table on the breakfast, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's not so easy also to find this kind of high quality products in breakfast. Usually you find the buffet and in a small corner there is some very nice industrial stuff.
I find that really important that we have a big variety, so there's a lot to choose from. Because that's really what you're missing when you're
the offer, the wide offer,
right? Yeah, because one you can get like a brownie or like one thing, right?
or just a cookie that sometimes doesn't even look like the picture in the package.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the thing about variety, and also that we bake it here, you can see the bakers through the window, you can smell the bread, everything is freshly made, and we bake with sourdough, and so that's really something. that I can fill people up.
So to finalize with the interview, I would ask you for an advice.
Yeah.
An advice, I'll give you the advice for the tourists. Come to the bakery just to see what they have, and then you will understand why I have given you this advice. But you as an entrepreneur, if let's say that after my world trip, I want to open a gluten-free bakery in Barcelona or wherever I decide to settle, what would be your advice for an entrepreneur on this field?
Just do it because the customers are there. Yeah. Definitely, that like so many people needing this product, and people will be so happy. We have the happiest customers in the world, and it's so giving, that you actually make a difference. Yeah. For people, so definitely just go ahead.
Very good. So Mette-Marie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very
for your flexibility, because we have been dancing with the dates a bit.
Yeah.
And for sharing everything about your adventure into the gluten-free.
Very nice meeting you, and the best of luck on your world tour.
Thank you so much. Good.
Good.